Hello there, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the Hardball coming to you live on Crown TV. That's DSTV channel 277. On Go TV, we are channel 23 and on Topsa channel 89. Now, today is the 15th of February 2026. And indeed, we do have a very catchy and interesting topic of discussion as we get to look at the ECZ roadmap release, and of course we want to find out what is next for the Tonse as an alliance. My name is Alfred Chimba. Now, the Electoral Commission of Zambia has laid out the roadmap to August, the path to the 2026 general elections, and is now clear. But for the opposition, the view remains dangerous foggy. And while the ECZ prepares the ballot boxes, the Tonse Alliance, the very vehicle meant to challenge President Hakainde Hichilema, is stalling in the garage, split in two factions led by two different men, claiming one single name. Is it a genuine collision or a house of cards? And tonight we examine the roadmap, the legal hurdles raised by lawyer Jonas Zimba, as well as the internal goss of the 2021. Joining me is a man who was at the center of the storm when the PF lost power. That's the former political advisor to President Edgar Lungu and current Secretary General of the Mundubile-led Tonse Alliance. That's Dr. Chris Zumani Zimba. Mr. Zimba, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to be here, and happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's
yes,
to you too.
Yes, I've seen you wearing a red tie. Yeah,
indeed. Well, let's kick the show with one critical question that I believe even many Zambians still have been asking. Who really are the founders of the Tonse Alliance?
Oh, thank you so much. So we need to put on record that Tonse Alliance as a concept and as a political project is a creation of two people, and later on cemented and established by 5 people. So when President Edgar Lungu was in UCA, the United Kwacha Alliance, he went there as an individual, he went there as a former president, he didn't go there as PF leader, and he didn't go there with PF. He went there in his individual capacity, and some of us who are behind him and close to him, we knew that he went there under the ECO PF movement. He never wanted to go there with PF because, of course, of the legal challenges that Mosa and Panchavinga had brought to his face. When ECO had challenges in UCA, specifically when UCA leaders started treating him as their own, one of their own, in terms of equality, like a comrade. And not a former president. They were even thinking of going to a convention where they should compete with him. We realized that we needed to do something about it. The people that initiated the idea of another platform specifically was Professor Dan Pule and Sean Tembo, because there was ECO in UCA. There was a motion that ECO lost in UCA alongside Sean Tembo and Professor Pule. And on that day when they lost that motion, the two went to ECO to say, we need to take you out of UCA to a different alliance, or just something else, or we give you our political parties, you choose, so that you're out of this shame and political embarrassment. And the ECO told them, no, go ahead, but engage my political advisor, Dr. Zimba, meaning myself. He may give us different options in terms of how to come out of this political trap in UCA. That very day, Sean Tembo called me and I met him at Mlongoshi village restaurant for almost 3 hours. That's where the discussion to form an alliance, and that's where the name Tonse Alliance was born, and that's where the actual philosophy and framework and objectives of the alliance were designed, including the discussion around the logo and the colors of the logo, the motto, everything. From that day, Sean Tembo and myself, we separated our ways, assigning each other in terms of what each one must do. My job was to put up what we call the terms of reference of Tonse Alliance, the constitution. Tonse Alliance, Sean Tembo's job was to design the logo and come up with everything around the logo. After some few days, we met. I produced a Tonse Alliance terms of reference of the constitution. Sean Tembo produced the logo. We discussed it, refined it, and finalized. When we finished, that's when I was delegated to go and present the Tonse Alliance concept to ECL at his house in Chifwema alone. I had a meeting with him. We had a meal, of course, supper. Thereafter, we discussed, I presented the concept of the Tonse Alliance, the logo and everything and the justification. He liked it. And he said, for me to join, I would like to be supported by Edith Nawakwi of FDD, Professor Pule of CTPD, and Sean Tembo of PEP. Because these are my allies in UKA. So I don't want to leave UKA alone. I'll be exposed as former president. I'll be seen to be dividing and breaking an alliance. So for me to be sure that I will support this Tonse Alliance, because it is tailor-made for me and designed for me, let's convince the three. So I was ready to work with Sean Tembo. So President Lungu engaged Professor Pule and Madam Edith Nawakwi. They agreed. It was after that the five of us, the former president, myself, Sean Tembo, Madam Edith Nawakwi, and Professor Pule, resolved that we are going to have an alliance. And then Professor Pule and Sean Tembo were tasked to begin to call others from the UKA. And that was tasked to begin to identify civil society organizations and other players to join the alliance in the background. So the founders, to answer your question, initially two, myself and Sean Tembo, and eventually there were five of us. President Lungu, Madam Edith Nawakwi, and Professor Pule. The rest only joined after everything was already said by the five of us.
Then where does the ECO-PF movement come in, all right, which is also versus the PF party in Tonse Alliance?
No, thank you. So when ECO was joining the alliance, the condition was, because they also asked the PF to join under SG Nakachinda. And they brought their own rules of engagements. And for them, they wanted PF to be the main player as an organization, to be a member. But ECO instructed me that, no, we can't allow to risk introducing PF to the alliance. Robert Chavinga and Mao Sampa, they'll be fighting us because they've already taken PF legally to themselves. So he never announced it to the fellow PF leaders that he had abandoned PF as a party. Quietly, he said, Zimba, in the constitution, the final constitution of the alliance, Tonse Alliance, don't put PF party, put ECO-PF movement. So that we have a non-registered pressure group led by myself as a member, so that we are free from the legal and political entanglements that come to the PF party, which is eroding code to Chavinga and Mao Sampa. So that's a position. So PF as a party has never been a member of the Tonse Alliance. Even during the time of ECO, we were in the alliance through the ECO-PF movement, led by ECO himself. And as I said, supported by all of us who are his supporters and loyalists under him. So all the PF members, all the PF former DCs, MPs, cabinet ministers, all other appointees and PF structures and members country-wise, loyal to his ECO himself as a person and as a former president, according to him and according to the definition of the Tonse Alliance Constitution today, are the members of the ECO-PF movement. And it has nothing to do with the PF party that is in court with Robert Chavinga through Mao Sampa.
Doc, let's quickly look at the ECZ roadmap. And of course, the ECZ has released the dates. Physical inspection of the register is happening. That's between 17th February to 23rd. Are you satisfied with the timeline, or do you agree with Jonas Zimba's recent critic that the Commission is playing a dangerous game with our electoral integrity?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, the point is that ECZ is the referee. So as the referee, they are expected to be independent, to be objective, to be neutral, and to ensure that they provide credible and fair and transparent electoral processes and activities going into August presidential and general elections. So Councillor Jonas Zimba is very correct. ECZ must not act as the main player on the pitch. It shouldn't act to side with Team A or Team B. ECZ must act as a referee, detached from the two teams on the pitch. Their role is just to be that of a referee. The time frame is short. The ECZ needed to raise awareness through radio, TV programs across the country to indicate and ring the bell that in the next 3-4 weeks, we'll be doing the actual physical inspection of the voters' register. I don't think they've done that. ECZ only announced through a notice, a memo, a letter. But think about our friends in Shangombo, think about the Zambian voters in Chama, think about the Zambian voters in Pulungu villages, in those Chilubi islands. They don't have such information about this duration they have put up of 17th to, it's within like a week. I don't think that there be justice done to the physical verification of the voters' register within the time frame ECZ has set. They would defranchise and they'll disadvantage a lot of Zambian voters in many places, especially in rural areas. Look, if the registration of actual voters was a problem, what more the physical verification? There are cases where some names have been misspelled. There are some cases where people have shifted from where they registered from, now they live in a different place. That needed to raise awareness in a very aggressive and vigorous manner, so that people have got a justification to go back to that school, to go back to that polling station, to go and verify whether what is on their voter's card is tallying to with what is on the register. Because that's the purpose of physical voter registration. Otherwise, if my name is just misspelled, the first name, let's say Chris, it has a C-H-R-I-I-S.
Yes.
If you just remove an H, it will still read as Chris. But I can assure you, on the day of voting, I will not be allowed. Because my voter's card and my NRC will show that the Chris with an H. On the register, it will be showing a Chris without H. So they will tell me, sir, we are sorry.
With this roadmap that has been provided already, let's come to your alliance as Tonse. Are you ready for the May 15th dissolution of Parliament?
Correct. As Tonse Alliance, we're looking forward to the dissolution of Parliament and consequently to the dissolution of Cabinet anyway, because also the Cabinet ministers, they will cease. So we look forward to that because it will create an equal play field. It will also help us to redeem the political players, in this case members of parliament, who align to the Tonse Alliance, to confidently begin to work and to go back on the ground, now under the brand of Tonse Alliance and our special purpose vehicle. Currently, as you may be aware, the councillors, the council chairpersons and the MPs aligned to Tonse Alliance. They are in parliament, they are in council chambers under PF, countrywide. But you know that through the politics of Mao Sampa and Robert Chavinga, PF will not be on the ballot. That I can confirm. Based on the current ruling of the High Court in Kabwe, PF is likely and is not going to be on the ballot. So our MPs, our councillors and our council chairpersons, we need to redeem them through the Tonse Alliance and our special purpose vehicle that we are going to officially and finally approve. So the dissolution of Parliament is a date, is an activity, is an event that we look forward to because it will redeem us to begin to align our players at local government level and parliamentary level to the Tonse Alliance and our special purpose vehicle. That's very important for them as political players. They should begin to think of T-shirts, capes, and indeed, of course, posters to design under the brand of Tonse Alliance and our special purpose vehicle and as opposed to PF. Because as I said, PF is trapped in legal battles.
Doc, we are talking of a two-headed alliance here. There is a Tonse Alliance led by Given Lewinda, as well as another where you serve as Secretary General under Brand Munduwile. How can you convince the Zambian voter that you are united front when you can't agree or maybe even agree on who sits in the driver's seat at the moment?
Okay, thank you. So on our side, we have already resolved those issues.
Okay.
We don't have a problem with the question of identity. We're a legitimate Tonse Alliance. We have got the governance documents. I'll share with you electronically on the phone because I didn't come with the physical copies. We have the constitution of the Tonse Alliance. Is you're left with us. We have the constitution of Tonse Alliance of January, which was approved by the General Congress in January this year, the amended one. So we're the Tonse Alliance that is governed by our governance documents. We're the Tonse Alliance that has got a legitimate president and leader, somebody who was elected through a General Congress. We're a Tonse Alliance that operates within the framework of what is provided for by the Constitution of Tonse Alliance. The other grouping, we don't recognize them. We don't know them. I know they are imitating us. They are also imitating Chavinga. Chavinga is imitating them. So they belong to a political imitation association. In the PF, they are not treated as PF because PF is also with Chavinga on issues are in court. In Tonse Alliance, we don't recognize them. So we treat them as political imitators. However, we are still open to engaging with them if they want to come back to us on our terms. And our terms are very simple.
Have you been open enough to reach an agreement, or maybe you inviting them so that you come to the table and they agree?
Yeah, through President Mundubile, BM, he has opened the olive leaf to everybody in the PF and outside PF in the opposition. So we are the Tonse Alliance open to dialogue. We are the Tonse Alliance open to reconciliation, peace, and indeed unity. That is our mantra, that is our song, and that is our logo, and that is our motto under BM as our presidential candidate and leader. So we are a Tonse Alliance with a presidential candidate. Our house is already set for August 2026. The other political groupings, either those that are imitating us or those that are still in the opposition, most of them, they don't even have a credible and a legitimate leader. It's just a gang of people presenting themselves for political competition. And they have failed to resolve the question of leadership within their association or within their groupings. So they are welcome to join us because we have a legitimate presidential candidate who was duly elected through a legally provided for process under the Tonse Alliance Constitution. The rest, as I said, they can talk, they can cough, they can sing the name Tonse, but they're not Tonse. They have no governance documents. They were not there when we were creating Tonse Alliance. They don't own Tonse Alliance. Look, it's very simple. You can't claim to be a parent of a child you never birthed.
In this case,
if you are not a mother or a father of a child, you can't claim to be the parent of that child because parentage has got DNA test. It has to be proven either by blood or DNA. So if you are neither the mother nor the child, the father of the child, you can't claim to be a parent. So we are the parents. We are the mother and the father of Tonse Alliance. We birthed it, it belongs to us, and we own it. The rest are imitators and false claimers. But as I said, they are welcome to join us on our terms. The door of Tonse Alliance under BM is open to everyone.
If the ECZ asks for one representative tomorrow, which faction would show up?
Look, we are the only ones who have been even participating in by-elections. Under currently the FDD, our special purpose vehicle. FDD is with us. The president of FDD is the first vice president of Tonse Alliance under BM. That's the Tonse Alliance, which is legitimate. If you ask the other political imitators, so which one is your special purpose vehicle? They will tell you they don't have. When did you go for a general congress? They don't have. Nothing has happened. Those are the same people last month who are telling us that they are going to choose a leader through a conclave. What has happened to the conclave? The conclave is not a concept of Tonse Alliance. Tonse Alliance choose and has chosen a leader through the general congress. These are the same people who are gathered people and said, no, we're going to choose a leader through a council of elders. You see, they have a lot of unconstitutional and street concepts they are using. We don't use street concepts in terms of leadership as Tonse Alliance. We are governed by a constitution, which is physical, and we follow it religiously. They don't. They only meet. Today they will tell you, no, we are here under the 14 rules of PF, rules of engagement. They are following, they know we are here, want to choose a leader under the conclave. And the conclave will just disappear. They forget about it. They will not even update you. The following day will tell you, no, in fact, I want to choose a leader through a council of leaders or elders, senior elders. The other day they will tell you, no, I'm going to choose a leader through a convention. So we don't belong to that chaos. We don't belong to that political immaturity. We don't belong to that political drama or comedy. We have a legitimate Tonse Alliance under BM with a credible governing documents, and we went through a credible general congress to choose a leader. We are the only ones so far that are ready for August 2026 to present a presidential candidate. They don't even have a presidential candidate, those groupings are talking about.
When you look at that, you did mention of the special purpose vehicle. Now, as Tonse Alliance, which one is your special purpose vehicle?
Currently, we are using FDD. Is our temporal special purpose vehicle or provisional special purpose vehicle for by-elections.
Then coming 2020.
So come 2026 August.
In August, yes.
This month end, we'll be making a final decision or determination whether we'll settle for FDD itself or we are going to make some changes. So the Council of Leaders will be resolving that issue because the General Congress for January mandated the Council of Leaders to take up the decision of settling and ratifying the final special purpose vehicle for August 2026. So I may confidently say that so far, because FDD has performed very well, and the FDD leadership is inside Tonse Alliance and part of Tonse Alliance at the very top, I'm confident to say that FDD is at 60-70% ready to be our final special purpose vehicle. It is a decision that the Council of Leaders will be making. But from where I'm standing and sitting, they are already at 60-75% as our final special purpose vehicle, because we don't have complaints from many leaders within the Council of Leaders. We don't have complaints against FDD from many members of the Tonse Alliance. And if those complaints will come or reservations, we'll discuss them in the Council of Leaders this month end or early February, early March. And if there are others who are interested to participate as special purpose vehicle, they will apply and will be able to scrutinize, compare them in terms of do's and don'ts, and a decision will be made. So we are good to go. Currently, we have got FDD as our provisional special purpose vehicle. And as I said, they may be endorsed or politically kissed by the end of this month as the actual final special purpose vehicle. Because as I said, nobody has complained against them so far from our members. And even themselves as FDD, they are happy to remain a special purpose vehicle for Tonse Alliance so far.
Looking at the performance of the UPND, and of course it boasts of the free education, the teacher recruitment, and all these other things, CDF at play as well, which they say is a game changer. Why is Tonse Alliance feeling like it is a challenging power now? And what are some of the promises that you are showing the Zambian people that obviously when you be given the mandate, you perform better?
Okay, thank you. So the levels of political confidence in Tonse Alliance is very high in terms of winning August 2026. Very, very high. It is above 80% in terms of confidence to challenging and unseating the UPND and President HH. The reasons are very simple. The reasons are twofold. Number one is the pathetic failure rate of the UPND to perform and deliver to the Zambian people in different and multiple sectors based on what they promised in 2021. So President HH won on the promise of presenting a paradise politically and economically to the Zambian people. He branded himself and presented himself as Mr. Bali, meaning father. Bali will fix it. That was his main political mantra and motto. So countrywide, it was Bali will fix it. But if you look back 5 years on the line today, Bali has fixed less than 30%. UPND's performance rate is below 40%. That in itself is a basis on which we rate our confidence as Tonse Alliance, that the Zambian people in August, the 2.8 million people that voted for HH countrywide, I think above 50% have politically backslidden and U-turned. Come August this year, they will not put their vote on HH because they feel betrayed. They feel cheated. They feel gambled and manipulated by President HH and the UPND. Let's go to some of the sectors where they had made promises and they have lamentably failed. Agriculture. HH got a lot of votes across Eastern Province, Central Province, Mchinga, Northern Wapula, including Southern and the rest of Zambia, from our farmers. Because the UPND under President HH had promised paradise in the agriculture sector. They had promised that they are going to increase the number of bags of fertilizer for the farmers. In Eastern Province, they were saying, because I was working at State House President Lungu, when we go to Eastern Province, we could get feedback from our people. Tivotere mulimi wa mene muyaso, who vote for a fellow farmer, and they will speak in the face of the former president, their own son, in Eastern Province. So if you look at the performance of HH in Eastern Province, he got a score, his score performance was above 48%. He was almost coming neck to neck with ECL in Eastern Province. But do you know that the main reason? Because that is an agriculture province. Above 90% of Easterners are farmers. And they were saying, we are going to vote for a fellow farmer. And they voted for HH indeed, passionately so, across Eastern Province. To date, if you go to Eastern Province, I'm only looking at one province, where I come from, and where President ECO came from. We didn't perform well in 2021. The reason, because those people are not tribal voters. They vote based on merit. So HH presented himself as a farmer who is going to improve and raise the bar in terms of the economic livelihood for farmers. How increase the number of fertilizers, the bags of fertilizers per farmer. They danced and celebrated from Luangwa Bridge to Chama and Mafinga across that province, and they voted so for HH. I can assure you that today that has not happened. In some places, the UPND under President HH, farmers were sharing one big bag of fertilizer amongst themselves in form of buckets. It never happened under ECA and PF. So those today, they feel betrayed. Those today are politically angry. Those today feel duped and cheated. So the 48% HH got in Eastern Province 2021, you will not see it this year in August. You will not see it. It is in Eastern Province today. In December and in January, if you went to Chipata and other towns, you would still find farmers queuing, waiting for FRI to pay them. People sleeping in the court in December and in January, under the man who had promised them paradise to improving their lives as farmers. So do you think that those people will be stupid politically to still vote for the man who has duped them? The answer is no. And that story is the same across the country, either in Northern Province, in Muchinga, in Western, in Northwestern. It's the same among farmers. So there is no basis for me to believe that most Zambian farmers will vote for HH. I don't think so. There is no basis. There lies our hope as Tonse Alliance, because our leader, BM, presents a different and a more pragmatic manifesto and position to the farmers and solutions. Go to the energy sector. President HH had promised that he's going to reduce the price of fuel to a single digit. ECL and the PF government left the price of fuel at 17 kwacha per litre. He said, I'm going to reduce it further to a single digit, either 9 kwacha or 8 kwacha, even 7 kwacha. But he had promised a single digit. To date, the price of fuel is double the price President HH and the UPND promised in 2021. In some cases, 20 kwacha per litre, 28 kwacha per. It fluctuates each month. I don't think that that sector, the motorists, the people that run their livelihood based on fuel, will be celebrating in August this year and dancing to queue to vote for President HH, because he cheated them, he duped them, he manipulated them. That's the reason why I'm saying that the 2.8 million vote of Bali for 2021, who melt significantly to less than 1 point something million, 1.25, 1.4, or even 1 million. Because he has not delivered in the key sectors where he promised. The price of mealie meal among the people that live here in economic centered regions, Lusaka, Central Province, Copper Belt, we don't grow, we don't have farms in these towns. We buy mealie meal on the market, in ShopRites and other stores. He said, the price of mealie meal will reduce it to 50 kwacha. From 90, from 120 to come to 50 kwacha, 60 kwacha. That's what Bali was promising. And he won in Lusaka Province, Copper Belt, where people depend on these economic indicators. To date, the price of mealie meal is above 300 kwacha, above 290 in many places. So it is against that background we say that the UPND, they have decampaigned themselves because they promised paradise, but they delivered political hell to many people in many sectors.
Doc, there's this, notion, being felt that unseating President Hakainde Hichilema is impossible without a united opposition. Now, by splitting into factions, don't you think you are initially handing the UPND a second term on the silver platter?
No, it doesn't work like that. In a multi-party democracy, we can't go with one single candidate in the opposition. It's even against the constitution anyway. We're a multi-party democracy. So there are supposed to be multiple players competing for power, be it at local government, parliamentary, or even at presidential level. That is the provision of our current supreme law. So the notion to say that the opposition must unite and choose one opposition candidate at presidential level is a fallacy. It's not feasible. It can't happen anyway. These are political parties and organizations and players who have different political ideologies. They have different political philosophies, different political manifestos. So are you saying that it's possible that you are going to sit down everyone to come up with a one political position in terms of manifesto and ideology? The answer is no. There are others who are leftists, others are rightists, others are middle center. So political ideology and manifesto determines how political organizations are formed, and they determine the approach of different political leaders. So going into August 2026, I don't think that we need to talk about alliances, but we shouldn't think that all alliances will come under one. We should encourage alliances such as Tonse Alliance to flourish, because right now we have got 9 political party leaders, presidents, that are supporting President Brian Mundubire, and we have got 12 organizations, civil society, supporting President Brian Mundubire. So we have got more than 20 organizations under the Tonse Alliance of BM. 9 are political parties. So already those 9 will not contest on the ballot. We have reduced it to BM. If the People's Pact, they have chosen President Dr. Fred Membe, we shouldn't compel them to join Tonse Alliance if they don't want to. Maybe their manifesto and ideology is different, but that is still good enough, because the People's Pact under Socialist Party will bring maybe 6 political party presidents to support Dr. Fred Membe. That in itself is reducing the numbers. So instead of going with more than 20 presidential candidates, we should be happy enough and we should be glad enough to have even 7 or 8 or even 5. That is still democratically health. The fallacy of having one presidential candidate is practically impossible. And it's, as I said, it's unconstitutional in a multi-party system. It has never happened here in Zambia. It has never happened in Malawi. It has never happened in Zimbabwe, Uganda, name it. In Malawi, last year, they had a presidential election. There are the 17 presidential candidates. But guess what? The voters reduced the 17 to only 2 rivals. The former president, Bishop Chakwera, Lazarus Chakwera, and the current president, Professor Wamtarika. They reduced it to 2 main competitors. The other competitors, the 15 of them, they were political escorters. But it was good for democracy in Malawi. In 2021, here in Zambia, you remember that we had more than, I think we had more than 10 presidential candidates. But the Zambian voters reduced the presidential competitors to only ECL and HH. You can imagine the voter difference in terms of performance between ECL got 1.8 million. He was number 2 to HH. 1.8 million. Guess the third person the figure got. The third person was who? It was Harikarawa of
Yes.
President Harikarawa got what? He got less than 26,000. Now you can imagine the second person is sitting at 1.8 million.
Yes.
The third person is sitting at 25,000 voters. So meaning that the Zambian voters reduced all those 10, 12 political presidential candidates in 2021 to only HH and ECL. So we shouldn't have problems if people want to contest in numbers at presidential level. They'll be escorting the main 2 competitors, because in most cases, voters, they already know who are the main competitors and which are the main political players. That shouldn't worry us. So as Tonse Alliance, we're not worried. We have presented BM as our presidential candidate against HH in August this year. And BM is the main contender against HH of the UPND. And as I said, BM is going under Tonse Alliance, and we'll choose our special purpose vehicle. That is the most formidable competition we have presented so far. The rest are still daydreaming. The rest are still coughing and gossiping. They don't even know their candidates. The only third competitor who I think is ready for August is Dr. Fred Membe under the People's Pact, because he was endorsed. The fourth competitor I've seen on the ground is CF's Harikarawa. He's on the ground, and Harikarawa has indicated that he's going to contest under CF as presidential candidate. That is still good enough. So let's focus on those who are politically mature and politically decided in terms of competing for 2026 August. We shouldn't waste time on the political daydreamers and political jokers and those who are still gossiping and just talking and fighting amongst themselves. No. The competition is reducing to very few competitors. There is President HH, there is President BM, Brian Mundubire of Tonse Alliance, there is Dr. Fred Membe of Socialist Party and the People's Pact, and so far there is also President Harikarawa of CF. Those I know, the 4.
SG, I know for sure time is not with us, but let's just look at the goals of 2021, as well as Mao Sampa's accusations. Mao Sampa, yes, has publicly claimed that your tactics, rather, as a political advisor, were the reason Edgar Lungu and the PF lost in 2021. Now, if your strategy failed, a president with all the resources of the state, why should the Tonse Alliance trust you now as a Secretary General to unseat an incumbent?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So number one is that the performance of the PF and ECO in 2021 to 1.8 million is attributed to all of us.
Not one person.
Not one person. Even ECO, if there was somebody who was honest in the PF, it's ECO himself, my former boss and the former president. ECO never blamed it on anybody. He blamed all of us, and he blamed also himself. It's on record. ECO even apologized to the Zambian people for the political hooliganism of the PF, for the political violence of the PF, for the political thuggery of the PF cadres. I was not a PF cadre. I was not part and parcel of that package of apologizing to say we lost because our cadres were violent in markets, our cadres were violent in bus stations, our cadres were fighting and beating people over and grabbing land. I was not part of that. ECL apologized because after we lost 2021, the PF as a party constituted a committee to review, to know why we lost. They never said Dr. Christopher Zimba in that report. I have the report. Everyone in the PF senior leadership, they have the report. The number one enemy of the PF was the violence and political cadreism, anarchy and chaos. The man you're talking about is a symbol of political chaos.
That's Mao Sampa.
Because he grabbed the party through whatever he used and he gave it to politically to the UPND. Right now, UPF is in an alliance with the UPND under Chavinga. Himself and Robert Chavinga in 2023 October. I was not part of that. But that tells you the DNA of what is in that report which caused the 2021 election defeat for ECO and all of us. Political cadreism, violence and chaos and anarchy. Today he has come back to PF and he came back to ECL. I was part of the people that he pushed for the reconciliation and for him to come back. But when ECL and him reconciled, I went back to the former president. But where are the papers? What has happened? Where is the party? And I came to learn that he came back with empty fingers. What he brings to the table right now is empty fingers and just political talking and gossip. The PPF is with Chavinga and the UPND, and he has banked it there. So, those accusations are malicious. ECO never named me in that report. They named themselves through their cadres, violence, and other indicators. The last point is that you need to know that I was appointed to work as political advisor to ECO after I worked as a political consultant in 2019. And in 2019, I was a political consultant for the PF party. I made the presentation, a paper before central committees chaired by ECO as president, that if elections were held today or any time, you will lose to UPND and to HH. They violently rejected my report. They were fuming, some of them, the central committee members. But a few months later, ECO appointed me, said, Doc, you are correct. We don't stand a chance to win 2021. Please help us. So I was appointed to help them because I had predicted the fall of PF.
Are you saying ECO agreed that he was going to lose the 2021 election?
Correct. Because that's the report I gave. Ask members of Central Committee. Ask Honorable Kampiongo, I was there in that Central Committee at State House. Ask Honorable Given Luwinda, Professor Luo. Ask Madam Inonge Wina. She was Vice President. I went there as an independent consultant and I gave an indication. And I gave a political warning that if elections were held anytime soon, and that was in October 2019, I was not part of the State House or PF. I was an independent political consultant. I was able to predict and show them through a SWOT analysis that you don't stand a chance to win 2021. They fumed. They even said, this is treacherous. You can't bring a consultant to tell a sitting president you're losing power. That's what some of them said. But 2 months later, in December on 20, I was appointed political advisor by ECO. It's because he trusted my judgment and my professionalism. That's the reason why even when we lost, ECO never blamed me, but he kept me very close because he knew that this is the only guy who was speaking the truth even before I appointed him. The rest were saying, Your Excellency, Muzawina, Twalawina. I said, no, Mr. President, these are your vulnerabilities as a party. These are the angers you have caused on this. Here you have scored, but your weaknesses and the threats are too much. They outweigh strength and opportunities. The possibility of winning is very difficult. So we tried our best when I was appointed as a political advisor to try to rescue PF and power. We tried. And that's the reason why I said the 1.8 million vote ECO got. I can assure you that I'm a bigger signature to that number. Had I not been sitting with ECO of State House, would have not even crossed a million. I know what happened. And I know the state in which I found the party and the PF government. Things were pathetic. Unfortunately, do you know the reason why I'm confident that UPND is losing? Because I have walked the talk, I've walked the journey. I know I'm able to assess ahead of time when the ruling party is sitting well or is sitting below or at average level or above. Currently, where ECO and PF sat in October 2019 is worse for UPND where they are sitting today.
Should we comfortably say that the UPND is a one-term government?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And the reason, the answer I've asked, why should the people trust you again? They should trust me. When ECA was grabbed, lost PF to Mayof Chamba and Chavinga and was given to UPND, I'm the only one who came out of prison to come and bring a solution to him to create Tonse Alliance. And Tonse Alliance won an MP in Petaoke. Tonse Alliance has won an MP in Chawama. Tonse Alliance has participated in other by-elections and performed tremendously very well. It is the main alternative brand in the opposition today, neck to neck with the UPND. So there is a reason to trust me. The people that have been free have been in prison for 9 months. But the people that have been free, they have never presented a political solution, either to PF or to ECL, apart from gossiping and just talking and talking. I'm presenting empty fingers, as I say.
Doc, as we wind up this evening, what is your advice to Honorable Given Lowinda now that, yes, he continues to, parade himself as, a Tonse leader or leading the other alliance, that's the Tonse as an alliance. What is your advice and how well do you want this issue to come to an end?
Yeah, my advice is very simple to him. He's an adult. He's a mature politician. He knows what is on the table for him and his followers. There is nothing for Tonse under him. There is no Tonse in him, and there shall be no Tonse around him. So my appeal to him is to end that political comedy by aligning himself with another political party or forming another alliance or coming to join the BM Tonse Alliance. They have only 3 options. That political comedy is doing by acting and imitating himself on the street is shameful because he's an adult. He never created Tonse, didn't belong to Tonse anymore.
But he's acting president
but
of the
he's
PF.
Imitating. For PF, I don't want to comment because that's a PF issue. The PF issue is in court between him and Chavinga and the rest. I don't want to comment on that. But even on the PF, if I were to advise him, he's to abandon it. You can't hold on to a dry tree that is already falling, that it will save you. I don't think so. There's wisdom in that. The PF is politically dry. It's politically dead for us in the opposition because it is in an alliance with the UPND through Robert Chavinga. So if I were him, I wouldn't be imitating or talking about PF. I would go to PF and say, I present to you a different alliance, given in the alliance. Something alliance. Or he comes to negotiate with BM, who welcome him. He is one of us. He's our political uncle. He's our political father. We can talk and dialogue and give him a place, a rightful place, with honor and dignity in the Tonse Alliance.
Doc, your closing remarks and 1 minute to the Zambian people out there.
there is hope through the BM leadership in Tonse Alliance. And in August this year, Tonse Alliance is going to participate and actively compete against the UPND and President HH. And we know that once we launch our manifesto as Tonse Alliance next month, the Zambian people will be able to weigh that BM is a leader of experience in terms of running government. BM is a leader of vision. President Mundubile is a leader with passion and a heart for the Zambian people. He brings to the table the foundation of this country. One Zambia, one nation. The mantra is Dr. Kaunda created, Chiluba upheld, Mwanawasa upheld, Arabia upheld, SAT upheld, and ECA upheld. One Zambia, one nation, where all Zambians, beyond August this year, will sit together, eat together, drink together, and dance together in the spirit of one Zambia, one nation, regardless of tribe or regions. Where opportunities in government, in terms of employment, opportunities in government, in terms of winning tenders and contracts, Zambians will be treated as equal citizens, regardless of their political affiliation, tribe, or region. That's the manifesto our experts in the Tonse Alliance are finalizing under the leadership of BM. And as I told you, the UPND have failed, lamentably so, in multiple sectors. Energy sector, agriculture sector, name it. BM and the Tonse Alliance, we are coming with alternatives, policies, and solutions to the Zambian people. And we believe that the Zambian people will be gracious enough to themselves come August to vote President Brand Mundubile of the Tonse Alliance through our special purpose vehicle, as opposed to the UPND and President HH, who promised them multiple things, who promised them paradise, but they have failed on many fronts.
Dr. Zimba, thank you so much, and of course for making it to the hardball this evening.
It was my pleasure to be here. I'm thankful to you, and thank you so much to our viewers countrywide.
Indeed, the ECZ has provided the map, and a map is useless if the travelers are fighting over who holds the campus. Dr. Zimba says they are ready, but in politics, perception is often reality. And right now, the perception is one of the house divided. We wait, or I wait to see if the Tonse Alliance can heal its wounds before the August Sunriders. For Hardball, my name is Alfred Chimba. Till next week, it's bye-bye for now. Enjoy the rest of our transmission.